Hey guys, what's up? There are a lot of JRPGs that I've played and that I've actually enjoyed but never finished because of one reason or another. The truth is, I never really loved them. But the 10 JRPGs you're about to see today, oh man, I really love them. I really wanted to finish them, but for one reason or another, I just never did. So let's begin. Number 10. Tales of Eternia. I've played both the PS1 and PSP versions, but the one that I played for the most part and really wanted to finish was the PSP port. It came out in Europe only, but since the PSP is region free, I was able to play my physical copy of it. I love this game, but I'm a big Tales fan, so it's no surprise. Characters and story were charming enough to keep me interested, and I really enjoyed the music. The pacing was also great, it never felt boring for 1 second. 3 things prevented me from ever finishing this game, however. This is one of the earliest Tales games combat, so it's a 2D button masher. The thing is, back then I had been playing a bunch of action RPGs in a row, so when I got to this one I was kinda burned out. My thumbs hurt already, so halfway through this game I had to give it up for a while. But the second reason why I quit is because this game has a lot of random battles, even though the encounter rate isn't that high. Problem is, I got lost in some areas and without knowing where to go, I had to backtrack a lot. Imagine that with random encounters. Yeah, it's really upsetting. But the third and final and most important reason is because my PSP fell one day and the memory card got damaged. I lost all my files so far, even from other RPGs I had already finished. I had decided to take a break from Eternia and come back to it one day, but this happened and I just couldn't. Now I'll have to restart it one day or simply keep waiting for some kind of remaster. Number 9. Folklore. My story with Folklore is similar to Eternia's. This is an action RPG, not anime style but Japanese, with some gothic and Halloween-esque elements. You choose between 2 different characters that end up in a bizarre village to investigate the disappearance of some people, including Ellen's mother, the female protagonist. The game's great, and it makes proper use of a 6-axis feature on the PS3 controller, hence why this is still an exclusive to the system. You absorb monster souls, known as the Folk, to gain their powers. In fact, you need to always have the right ones to fight some of the bosses that are weak to them. It's a great game with incredible writing, so I was dead set on finishing it. I picked Ellen first and I thought beating the game with her would suffice. Nope. Before her final chapter, the game forces you to do the other character's route, Kid's, and he has almost the exact same missions and bosses. What nonsense. If you're gonna make me play the game again a la Nier Automata, at least make as much as you can different. Automata is a better game, however, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Some bosses in this game are honestly a pain in the ass, and going through them again turned me off. I'll go back to this game one day, I said, but that was in Canada and I had a different PS3 there that I had to sell before coming back to Mexico. I had my save files transferred to a pen drive, but when I tried it on my PS3 here, it didn't work. Goodbye to my Folklore save file. I don't plan on restarting the whole thing anytime soon, man. Number 8. Shining Force 2. Has it ever happened to you that you're playing a game that you're enjoying, but then something new comes to you and it makes you drop it? Well, that something for me was my PlayStation 4. I was playing Shining Force 2 on the Sega Genesis collection available for the PS3. Several games and RPGs are there, including Shining Force 2. And before you ask, yes, the emulation is great. It's actually a short RPG from what I heard, just like the first game, 20 hours more or less and you're done. So it's safe to say I made it halfway through or perhaps even farther. I was loving it, especially the soundtrack, which quickly became my favorite in the series, but I got my first PS4 back then and with Ys 8 included in it no less. Do you honestly believe I wasn't gonna ditch Shining Force 2 to play Ys 8 on the new console? Other games had arrived quickly too, so I had a whole bunch of PS4 titles ready to be played, like Nier Automata, Tales of Berseria, Little Nightmares, and more. Sorry Shining Force 2, you're an excellent game, but I just had to do this. Besides, I needed to start playing PS4 games more often back then for this channel, so yeah. Nevertheless, this is a game that I guarantee I'll go back to one day cause I really wanna finish it. Number 7. Tokyo Xanadu. Why I never finished this one is very simple, but first let me tell you about it. It's an action RPG by Falcom that takes place in a high school. Protagonists are a bunch of students who join a secret organization fighting underground demons that affect people in real life. So this is one of those many JRPGs with some school simulation elements, slice of life, and of course, a lot of modern idol bullshit. And that's what made me give it up. Yep, the story and characters. I really liked some of them like Asuna or Mitsuki, but there's this idol group that I really disliked and a whole chapter revolves around them. I just couldn't take it. I can tolerate a bit of J-pop stuff here and there and the slice of life that comes with it, but Tokyo Xanadu was way too much that it just felt wrong for me to keep playing it. I made it that far because the combat is badass here. You can bring with you up to 3 characters per mission and switch to any of them at any time. Because this game plays with enemies that are weak to this or that. Controls are excellent and the action feels satisfactory. I love the boss battles here. So the battle system was awesome, but the idol stuff is what killed this game for me. Number 6. Xenosaga II. Contrary to Tokyo Xanadu, this is a game I often praise because of its story and characters. There's a lot of focus on some of the secondary characters here, like Junior for example, so their growth is superb. The Xenosaga trilogy is, after all, known for having one of the best stories ever written on a PS2 game. All 3 games combine an incomparable journey with a very memorable cast. The gameplay is like in any Xenosaga game, with tons of cutscenes and dialogue, but barely anything nonsensical or cliché. You go around in missions, solve some puzzles and fight enemies. Combat, however, was so convoluted and hard that I never finished this game. Combat in episodes 1 and 3 was great, especially 3, but here they tried to include a twist that changed things for the worst. This boost feature. Enemies sure know how to abuse it very well, and they exceedingly use it against you. It makes some battles really easy, but others really hard. Its purpose is to basically interrupt a turn and act twice in the next. So eventually, I got into a boss fight really late in the game, and not even the grinding helped me. This one is probably among the RPGs that bothered me the most not having finished, because it's a freaking episode, the second one. It's imperative to play it before you indulge yourself in the masterpiece that is episode 3. Number 5. Igtra Union. Igtra Union is one of the most convoluted and overly complicated RPGs I've ever played, and I still love the heck out of it. But it's really dangerous to play through it without fully understanding its battle mechanics. I thought I did, but it turned out I didn't. So I reached a point of no return with no way to grind, no way to correct my mistakes. Oh yeah, this is one of those RPGs where messing up can get you stuck forever. But unlike some RPGs in this list, I still like to believe I'll restart it one day and finish it on the PSP. Every character you have is a commander with a platoon fighting under them. Terrains are very limited here, so it's very hard to maneuver and come up with a solid strategy. Often some characters might have to miss a turn on purpose because they can't attack anyone. When a battle starts, you have to select one card out of many, so you really need to know which ones to use. Using them randomly does not work here. One mistake and the battle tide turns against you. As you can see though, commanders and their platoons fight each other off out of your control. Only thing you can control though is that morale bar, but it's also very weird to understand. Often you don't know if going passive or aggressive is really helping out, and that's why this game can get really complex, with all those features combined, playing a crucial role in every single battle. Great game here, but I feel like I need a guide to beat it. Number 4. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country. Fuck this game, let's move on. Okay, I'll tell you my reasons in a nutshell once again. You probably already know them, but I'll also tell you something I've never said before. Torna is a prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with mostly a new cast of characters never seen before. This includes Laura, the protagonist, whom I really liked and wished she could have been the main one in the original. She's on a journey trying to find her mother while getting involved into the massive political twists of the world. A world based on the community of NPCs that create the side quests that you need to complete even if you don't want to, in order to increase the community level. If by the end of the game, before going to the final dungeon and final boss, your level isn't enough, you're stuck. The game forces you to do all of those annoying and boring side quests. So yeah, that's bullshit, right? They're called side quests for a reason. They are optional, and no game should force you to do them just to beat the game. However, the one thing that I've never said before about this game is that our beloved, precious and hypocritical internet spoiled the ending for me. It involves Laura, and I don't even want to finish the game anymore because of that. I won't spoil it for you, but it sucks. The ending sucks. Number 3. Dragon Quest VIII. Believe it or not, Dragon Quest VIII is one of the biggest grind fests I've ever played in my RPG life. It's a really challenging game, and there's just one characteristic that makes it so hard. Dungeons have no save points. You complete one ruin, cave, city, area or whatever, get to the boss at the very end, and if they kill you, it's back to the fracking beginning. No save points anywhere in the overworld, so you don't go back outside wherever you were. Nope, you go all the way back to the church where you last saved. Most Dragon Quest games are like this, so you need to grind a lot before entering every goddamn area in them. I don't know if the 3DS version has save points inside the dungeons, please let me know. I spent days, that's right, entire sessions, several hours just grinding. But not to increase my character's levels, no! To get enough money to buy one miserable weapon! I wanted my characters to have the best equipment possible before going to the next dungeon. Near the end of the game, right before the final dungeon, I found an area where you could farm gold golems and get a lot of money. Over-leveled and with the best equipment possible, after days of painful and boring grinding, I was finally prepared. At long last, let's go, damn it! I have everything I need to beat Dragon Quest VIII. Let's go kick that final boss's ass! So I entered the final dungeon, got halfway through, and I died. Number 2. Digital Devil Saga. Not much to say about this one really, it's a Shin Megami Tensei game, so it's naturally very hard. I love the premise, the story, the dark themes, the psychological stuff, the demon cannibalism and transformation, the characters, the music, the combat. I loved almost everything, man. Except random encounters, but you kinda need them cause this is another hardcore grinder. However, I have no excuse with this game. I tried my best because I really wanted to finish it so I could experience its direct sequel right afterwards. But it was just too hard for me, that's all. I've beaten other SMT games, but in this one I just got tired of the grinding. It takes a lot of time to gain one level or enough points for your mantra. Maybe I had the wrong abilities unlocked for a specific boss late in the game. If I had to guess, what turned me off about it was the dungeon design. Encounter rate is kinda high, and solving the hard puzzles while getting interrupted very often is unnerving. I don't think this game has good dungeon design, so maybe that's why I kinda gave up, because even if I had beaten that boss, I knew more poorly designed dungeons awaited me. So I got as far as I could, and that was it. Will I go back to it one day? Probably not, because I have a really long backlog. Number 1. Jeanne d'Arc. Excellent strategy RPG here, among the very best on the PSP. But yes, it will shock you to know I've never finished it. What's this game about? Well, it's an anime version of the classic story of Joan of Arc, mixed with some fantasy elements. Very well written, my friend. Clichés and tropes are kept to a minimum, and the seriousness and tragedy that characterizes the legend are left intact. Nonetheless, it took one liberty with the tragedy, and it upset me. This game broke my heart. I won't spoil it for you, but let me just say that a certain character dies horribly, and I felt wrecked when that happened. I kept playing, but my motivation was almost gone. However, the one thing that prevented me from finishing this game is that I simply got stuck. In most strategy RPGs, you play a mission and if you die, well, you just try it again or level up, right? Jeanne d'Arc is no different except for the part I got stuck in. Story-wise, I couldn't go anywhere to grind and I saved right before that mission. I won't show you the mission cause merely showing it will spoil the heck out of you. But that mission is brutal, and you are at a complete disadvantage. You can win it if you're strong enough. I wasn't because this game is honestly not hard, so I barely grinded. I should have, I know. I will go back to this game one day, but I'm not sure if I want to go through that tragic moment ever again. I could have a lot of honorable mentions because I ain't done yet, maybe a part 2 one day. One of them will be Monarch, most recently. That's a game that I was really enjoying and that I really wanted to finish, but yeah, it disappointed me. And there are 10 other JRPGs that I also loved but never finished, but because the final boss beat the crap out of me. Here in this video. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends and watch these too. See you next time!